Welcome back, everybody, to the TWSN YouTube channel. My name is Harrison Vapnek. Before we get started with the top sleeper teams in college football this season, go ahead and subscribe to the TWSN YouTube channel. We got lots of great content coming this fall with NFL, college football, some betting advice, MLB playoffs, and so much more. And go hit up our social medias at TWSN and download our mobile app for all the latest TWSN content. The first team I'm going to jump into is Boston College. Boston College, popular sleeper pick so far right now in the ACC. They got head coach Jeff Hafley in year number 2, a very successful first year with Boston College. He's been a defensive backs coach all over the NFL and college football. They're led by their quarterback, Phil Yurkovich, 61% completions last year, 2,558 passing yards, 17 touchdowns, just 5 picks. They have a fantastic receiver in Zay Flowers. He had 56 catches, 892 yards, 9 touchdowns last year. Some important part to having success year after year. They got lots of returners on the offensive line, guys like Zion Johnson, Ben Putleg, Alex Lindstrom, consistent guys on the offensive line. They got 8 returning starters on defense. They play a lot of 5 defensive back personnel, similar to their head coach, who's a former defensive back himself. Jamin Muse had 3 interceptions last year. Josh DeBerry is their team's returning tackler. He's a good corner for them, all ACC caliber. They got 2 solid transfer additions on defense. I like safety Jaden Lars Woodbury from FSU. He had 106 tackles in the last few years. He could be seeing him at linebacker or safety hybrid kind of role. They also added Isaiah Graham Mobley from Temple. He'll probably be a starter in that first unit. The schedule works pretty well in their favor non-conference. They got Colgate, UMass, and Temple before they play a good team in the SEC, Missouri. And then they got Clemson the next week. Remember last year when they played Clemson, 34-26 loss for them. They had a good lead in the first half. Yurkovich played pretty well, but it was DJ Uiagalelei, who's Clemson's quarterback now, was a starter for them in that game, not Trevor Lawrence. And after that, they have a bye week after the Clemson game. Then it's NC State, Louisville, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, FSU, Wake Forest. Those are all very winnable games. So this Boston College sleeper team could possibly see them flirting into a 9-3, 10-2. I don't think it's out of the picture for them this season. My next sleeper team comes from the SEC, a team that went 5-5 last year, and people have some high hopes for their coach in the second year, and that's Lane Kiffin down at Ole Miss. The Ole Miss Rebels I have as my next sleeper team. They had one of the best offenses in the nation all of last year. They were 3rd in total offense with 556 yards per game, 39 points per game. They beat Indiana in the Outback Bowl. Lane Kiffin, great coach. Now he already has a full season of SEC coaching under his belt. I really feel like it's a big difference when you're seeing him preparing for teams a second time around as opposed to being kind of the first year coach in that conference. They have a household name at quarterback. At least I think he'll be a household name this year in the SEC. Matt Corral completed 71% of his passes last year, 3,337 yards, 29 touchdowns, also ran for 4 scores. Dontario Drummond and Braylon Sanders are 2 of their top receivers. They have 4 returning starters on the offensive line. Incoming transfer receiver to watch out for, Ja'Cour Pearson. He's coming in from Western Kentucky. In 2019, he had 76 catches, 804 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Only played 3 games last year, 9 catches. I like to see him revert back to his 2019 self this year for Ole Miss. Defensively, they had some hope in the bowl game. They held Indiana, who was a really good offense last year, just 20 points. They returned everyone from their secondary. Safety AJ Finley's back. He had 62 tackles last year, along with 3 picks. He could take a jump. The biggest key offensively, taking care of the football. They had a lot of interceptions last year, a lot of fumbles, a lot of turnovers. Got to take better care of the football, especially when you're scoring a lot of points. The defense is the make or break, though. If they're going to be a good team, the defense probably plays subpar. If they want to be a great team, the defense has to be better, and that's where the improvement is. They scored 60 points, 50 points, 40 points so many times last year, but the defense has to keep up. Schedule-wise, their first game against Louisville on Labor Day, potential winnable game. They go to Alabama on October 2nd. They host LSU. They go to Auburn. They host Texas A&M. I could see Ole Miss going to an 8-4 kind of year, which would be a success in a very competitive SEC West. The next team from the Pac-12 is a team not a lot of people are talking about, but as you dive into a little bit, it makes sense why they could have a strong year. It's Stanford. First of all, I'm going to start off by saying they have the best coach in the conference, David Shaw, in 11 years, 90-36. Last year, the Pac-12 had a chaos season. Stanford somehow still went 4-2 and won their last 4 games all on the road. They scored 24 points in 5 of their 6 games. They got to change at quarterback Davis Mills now with the Houston Texans. Their quarterback's going to be either Jack West, who started a game for them last year, or Tanner McKee, who is actually the 3rd pocket passing quarterback in the Trevor Lawrence class. Pretty crazy. He didn't really play too much. He was out doing some other stuff, and he's now the potential full-time starter at Stanford. They got to start running back in Austin Jones. He had 84 yards or more in 5 of their 6 games, 550 total yards, 9 touchdowns. He had 138 yards versus Washington, 126 yards versus Oregon. There's going to be a rotation, but he'll probably be the workhorse running back. They have 8 returning starters on defense, including Thomas Booker. He's a versatile defensive lineman. Only 8.5 career sacks, but a physical presence that makes a difference. Schedule-wise, it's kind of interesting. Every game they play is against a Power 5 opponent. They got Kansas State week 1 in Dallas. They go to USC the next week. They got games against Vanderbilt on the road. But their 3 biggest games are probably all at home. Utah, UCLA, Notre Dame. A lot of people are sleeping on Stanford. They could flirt their way into a 9-3, 8-4 kind of season and really make some noise in the Pac-12. Next team I'm going to hop into is a team that really used to be considered a sleeper team. Then they became a contender. Now I think they're a sleeper team again. That's the UCF Golden Knights. There was a point in time last year where UCF was ranked number 11 in the nation. They had a disappointing 6-4 season for their standards that ended with a loss in the Boca Raton Bowl to the hottest quarterback in the nation at the time in Zach Wilson and BYU. I thought they had a major coaching upgrade from Josh Heupel to Gus Malzahn. Their quarterback Dylan Gabriel's back. He had a big season last year, 3,570 passing yards, 32 touchdowns. They added transfer wide receiver Nate Craig Myers, I should say, who played under Malzahn at Auburn from 2016 to 2018. He adds good depth to a solid receiver room. The offense averaged 42 points per game, which is very good. They do have to run the ball a lot better this season. Their leading rusher only had 728 yards last year. Player to watch out to step up and fill that role. Sophomore running back Johnny Richardson could be their leading rusher this season. They have all 5 starters back in the offensive line, which is always huge for a team also that didn't give up too many sacks last year. Defensively, they had problems, but they're adding 2 solid transfers. Big Cat Bryant from Auburn and Ricky Barber from Western Kentucky. Those are going to be 2 good additions to that defense. They still have linebacker Eric Gilliard, who had 174 tackles in his 3 years. He was very good last year, and he's going to be the anchor of that defense this season. They're playing the American, which isn't a strong conference outside of Cincinnati. They take them on October 16th. Big game week 1 versus Boise State. Boise's always a very tough team to play, especially now they have a new coach. Could be good for them. They play at Louisville, or UCF plays at Louisville on September 17th, which will be a tough game. But UCF, no reason they really shouldn't go 10-2 this year. I think it's kind of set up for the making. I think Malzahn's a great coach, and he'll lead them there. So I decided to save the best sleeper team for last. I think this team is being slept on so much to a point where I actually can see them making the college football playoff based on how everything is working. The Utah Utes, they're the only team I have on here that's currently ranked. They're ranked 24th in the AP poll. And I think it's kind of set up for them to have a rerun of 2019 where they had an excellent regular season. They went 11-1, only losses to USC on a Friday night. They're in the Pac-12 championship, 1 win away from the college football playoff, and they get blown out by Oregon, I think 37-15 in Santa Clara to miss the playoff. If they won, they would have been in. Now here we are in 2021. They got all 5 starters in the offensive line returning. Nick Ford at center, all first-team Pac-12, likely top 50 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. New quarterback Charlie Brewer, transfer from Baylor, 9,700 yards, 65 touchdowns in 4 years. They got a running back duo of transfers, Chris Curry from LSU, TJ Pledger from Oklahoma. Good linebacking corps led by Devin Lloyd and Nephi Sewell. Lloyd over 140 tackles in the last couple of years, 8.5 sacks, 21 tackles for loss. They have the best secondary in the Pac-12. DeTravis Broughton, he's back. Clark Phillips, he's back. Safety Vontae Davis tied for the team lead with 2 picks last year, 16 tackles as well. Very favorable non-conference schedule. Weber State, BYU, San Diego State, all winnable games. Their toughest game, though, will be at USC following the San Diego State game, but they have a bye right before. And their 3 toughest games, Arizona State, UCLA, Oregon, all at home. This is a team you should not sleep on. Utah is the favorites in the Pac-12 South, in my opinion. Not UCLA, not USC, not Arizona State. The team to beat is Utah. I expect them to go 10-2, maybe even 11-1 entering the Pac-12 championship game. And if they are 11-1 going into that Pac-12 championship, they will have a chance to win and possibly put themselves in the college football playoff in 2021, which is completely shocking. It's crazy to say, but the Utah Utes are that team this year, the team to watch out for in college football in 2021. Thanks for watching on the college football sleeper teams here in 2021. We'll see how these teams play out this season. Stay tuned for more videos coming out these next couple days. We got more college football previews. We got playoff predictions and so much content coming throughout the season. Keep up with the TWSN, Twitter, YouTube, social media, all of that. And we'll see you next time on the TWSN YouTube. See you guys.